Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to KunfO's third audio commentary. Today we have a PvP for you guys on Lost Temple between Socke and HuK. Go ahead and start the game. So, in this game, we're going to look at how to defend 4-gate with a more economical 3-gate, and we'll see how that can transition nicely into the late game. Of course, these commentaries are designed to leave you guys with more knowledge about StarCraft 2, so I've already watched this replay, and I will be throwing out spoilers as necessary to make my points. I'll be coming out with a more casting-oriented series of games for more entertainment purposes, so you guys should stay tuned for that. But for now, it's all about making you just a little bit better at StarCraft 2. Alright, so back to the game. We have HuK spawning at the top position here on Lost Temple, and we have Socke at the bottom position. Looks like they're both starting pretty standard, nothing too fast with the pylons. Of course, you can see HuK's going to stop at the Xel'Naga Tower as Socke is right now. That's just to see if they can spot the opposing player's probe so they can see what position they might be coming from. As we can see, that works for Socke, seeing HuK's probe coming from the north. And doesn't look like HuK is going to notice. Oh, HuK thinks that Socke's going to be coming from the side because of the Xel'Naga Watchtower. That just shows that it's always a good idea to stop there with your scouting probes. You can get an idea of where your opponent has already spawned and save some scouting time. HuK knows that Socke, since he's not there, must be at the bottom. Of course, both going gateway build, HuK saving his chrono boost. Socke getting his gas just a little bit early. You'll likely see that when players decide to go 4-gate, because it allows them to get the research just that much faster. And we will see Socke going 4-gate this game. He'll be going for a very heavy 4-gate push with pylons inside HuK's base. And a lot of people have trouble with that in Protoss vs. Protoss, mostly because 4-gate is just a standard, very powerful build. Okay, so HuK's gateway is almost up. We'll see both players laying down a cyber core right when the gateway is up. We can see Socke's cyber core already halfway done, while HuK just began his. This is a lot more common when players go 3-gate to get the cyber core a little bit late because they go for a more economical build in the beginning. We can see HuK already with 2 more probes than Socke, and Socke laying that pylon down right in HuK's base. It's always a good idea to keep your base completely scouted to make sure that this does not happen in Protoss Mirror. So HuK going ahead and building that first Zealot before the Cybernetics core comes up, sorry about that. Both players staying on one assimilator to start with, saving the money for the extra gateways, as we'll see Socke going ahead to lay down 3 more gateways right away to finish that 4-gate opener. And I really like what HuK's doing here. He's putting a pylon at the bottom of his base, right where he thinks a pylon could be, and there is one, so it's going to pay off for him. But I would always put either a pylon here or check it with a unit to make sure that your opponent is not putting a pylon here, and HuK's going to be able to kill it off with his initial Zealot. But Socke, not wanting to ruin his 4-gate opener, will leave one outside of his opponent's base, right here behind the natural. That's just to keep this 4-gate alive. He doesn't want to lose just because this pylon gets scouted. You always want to keep your opener solid and not let something like that ruin your plan for the game. Putting another pylon right here at the Xel'Naga Watchtower, just in case this one gets taken out before he can warp in units. But as we can see, that does not happen. Stalker's already coming in. And another point I want to make here is that Stalker's very effective against Zealots, especially in the early game. Zealot's really only effective in PvP if you're the defending player against 4-gate and if you have sentries. We're going to see a lot of Zealots getting picked off and a lot of units getting picked off by HuK here, as Socke is able to beat him in the Stalker count just because he went 4-gate versus 3. Now, I'm just going to pause it really quick just to show. HuK is because he has less units, he's going to have to rely on the positioning advantage of being on the defense to survive. And what he's going to do is he's going to get a couple of sentries out and Zealots out so he can block off part of Socke's army and downsize his units early in the game so he can survive the 4-gate push. and we should see those units coming out shortly. Right now he's just getting out a few more Zealots and a sentry to match the meat shield of Socke, and he's bringing out his probes in mass numbers just because he wants to make sure that he does not lose too many Stalkers early on. Getting too far ahead with Stalker count in PvP is really going to put you very far ahead in very good position to win the game. So HuK's making sure that he does not lose too easily to something like that. Okay, so we're going to see here Zealots just trying to keep these Stalkers from getting in the base. And still no sentry from HuK. He's been trying to keep up with Stalker count so far in this game, so he hasn't really had the chance to bring in too many gas-intensive sentries. But we should see sentries coming in soon for HuK. And the reason Zealots are only really effective for the defending player is in combination with sentries you can block off some of these Stalkers as they come in, as they try to cross the ramp. And you can, by doing that, you can pick off a few Stalkers at a time and really delay the attack from happening. I just want to point out the harvester count. HuK has 4 more probes, mostly because of the fact that he went 3-gate, and he has a much more economical opening. And just imagine if he didn't have to bring the probes down here. He would have even more of a lead. So all he has to do right now is survive and get to the point where he can tech and make this Stalker push ineffective. And that's what's going to allow him to do that is his Zealot and Sentry strategy. We've already seen him start to put force fields right here, cut off a few Stalkers, and completely stop this push from working. As we can see, Socke is very hesitant to go up this ramp because he knows that a force field laid down right here is going to stop any kind of aggression from working. So Socke really not able to do much right now. He's in a very bad position because he is very committed to this 4-gate strategy. He's going to have to start building a robotics facility in his base. He's going to rely on getting the Colossus out faster than his opponent because his initial strategy of destroying him early did not work. So he needs to come up with another advantage as he knows he's economically disadvantaged already in the game. So HuK in a good defensive position with 2 sentries out now, able to lay down as many force fields as he'll need to stop these Stalkers from advancing into his base. Socke, knowing that he cannot do much more with this attack, is going to go ahead and bring these Stalkers out of there. So we should see HuK laying down his robotics facility soon, as he has rendered the attack pretty much useless at this point. There's really no way Socke could have gotten into HuK's base. HuK really does not need to build much more of a gateway unit army at this point, as he's already successfully defended the initial attack. So he lays down the robotics facility to try and match his opponent's Colossus production. Now another thing you want to make note of is when you have the economic advantage and you block the first attack, you're going to want, a lot of players will want to expand right away to solidify what they think is more of a lead than they actually have. But we're going to see HuK delaying that expansion in favor of getting Colossuses out fast. He does not want to build his expansion until he knows he can do so without hampering his Colossi production. That way he can keep his Colossi count matched with his opponent, and he won't be in danger of losing after a decisive fight. HuK just keeping these Stalkers in a good position to scout his opponent. And he does not want to get this part of his army sniped off by Stalkers, so he brings it back to his base. Very smart move. And I believe, no, he's getting his, okay, so Socke's getting his first Colossus out now. Still hasn't researched the extended thermal lance, but he will obviously be doing that shortly, as it's such a useful upgrade to have with your Colossi. Now another advantage HuK is going to have as being the 3-gate defender early in this game is he's going to have a large army of Zealots. Now in my opinion, Zealot Colossus is very effective against Stalker Colossus, and Socke, trying to revamp that Zealot count, is going to go ahead and warp in some more. Let's take a look at the unit counting station here. We see HuK has much more Zealot heavy army compared to Stalkers, with 17 Zealots against 11. Now the reason Zealot Colossus is so effective against Stalker Colossus is that Zealots are just that much more effective against Stalkers. And you really can have your Zealots kited by Stalkers, because the Colossus with the range upgrade are able to just decimate Stalkers that try to do anything funny with your army. So here we go, we're going to have the first encounter